'Cause you gonna do what you gotta do. And what I do is not your problem. What's up, boys and girls? Welcome back to Redwood RC. We're back again on the bench with another awesome project that has been neglected for a little while now. We've got a couple of upgrades for the deadbolt. We haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to that truck lately. I've been kind of focused on the IR60 build. That thing has been a ton of fun all summer. Been getting it dialed in, tons of great upgrades on this truck. It's becoming very, very capable. I'm very happy with it, but we're not here for that today. We are here for the deadbolt. That thing has gone through a number of different upgrades, and every time I take it back out, I break it. And I'm not super happy about that. It seems like every time I take that thing out, it breaks. So what we've got is a couple of upgrades that I think are gonna solve that problem almost entirely. And if we break anything else after this point, it's gonna be pretty severe. So why don't we come in a little bit closer here? We'll take a look at the parts we got. I have a couple of significant upgrades that I think are gonna solve most of the problems. So we'll come in a little bit closer, take a look at what we got, take a look at the swap, and then we'll go hit the rocks. You know the drill, let's go. All right, here it is. If you are familiar in any way with this channel, then I'm sure you are familiar with this truck, the SCX-10-2 deadbolt. This is the first crawler that I picked up. I'm a huge fan of this truck. It's gone through a ton of upgrades. And when it's performing, when it's working, it's amazing. I love it. I love how it performs. I love how it crawls. I love how it looks. I'm a big fan. However, the main problem has been keeping it working. It seems like every time we upgrade something, something else breaks. And I guess that makes sense. The weakest link in the chain is always going to give way first. And so far, we've just been breaking each weakest link as we get to it and replacing it. But we've gotten to a point now where almost everything has been replaced with something much more durable than factory. So you can see we've gone 3S with the big brushed 555 pole motor. A ton of brass on the diff, brass on the knuckles, brass clamp rings, custom brass clamp rings that I made myself in an oversized dimension on the front to add some weight bias there. Also gone ahead and done the bronze links. Overall, we've added a lot of weight and a lot of performance, and that has resulted in a lot of drivetrain breakage. And that has been my least favorite part of this truck so far, is just every time I take it out, I break it. So I think I've got what it's gonna take to solve these problems. There's a couple of issues left with the drivetrain, and we're gonna address them here, and then we're gonna go hit the rocks and see how this thing actually works, hopefully without breaking it. So first off, why don't we take a look at what we've got, and then we can go ahead and start getting into this. The problem we're having right now is I stripped out the diff gear, I believe the rear diff gear, and so it drives still, but anytime the truck gets kind of bound up, it hits that spot, that flat spot in the rear diff gear, gets to a certain spot, gets bound up, and it doesn't want to keep going. So in order to fix that problem, and also to add a little bit of performance, went ahead and stopped over at the Mias Racing Shop, picked up a couple of sets of their diff gears, got the underdrive for the rear and the overdrive for the front. And so what that's gonna do, the rear is gonna spin slower, front's gonna spin faster. We're gonna get a bias towards the front, which I haven't had. This is the only, no, that's not true. This truck has never had an overdrive setup in the front, and I think it's really gonna benefit from that, just from the way that it's set up, the weight bias, and the way it performs currently. I think it's really gonna benefit from these overdrive, underdrive gear setups. That's also going to eliminate the plastic in the diffs, and that leaves only one, well, technically two plastic parts left in the drivetrain, and I'm sure those are gonna break soon enough So I went ahead and stopped again at Mia's, picked up these universal length. I wasn't completely paying attention when I ordered these, and I really hope that they are gonna work. I don't know, I think they should. We're gonna find out. I think these are gonna work. But these are a steel drive shaft. They're a little bit skinnier, which is perfect because we're running into an issue with this plastic drive shaft where it's hitting the motor. You can see right there where it's rubbing away at the label on the outside of the motor. At full compression, it does hit, and it is actually limiting our travel a little bit. So hopefully this will clear just enough to prevent that from happening and also prevent the drive shaft from breaking. So let's tear this thing down and get into it, huh? Jesus. All right, so that's the chassis stripped down as far as it needs to be anyway. This thing is filthy. I definitely need to take some time to get this cleaned up. I've got the axles out of the truck, and it does look like both of these drive shafts are gonna work for this application. It seems like it's gonna be just fine. So I don't think we're gonna have any issues with these drive shafts. I think they're gonna solve our problems. And I know that these steel overdrive, underdrive gears are definitely gonna solve our problems. One thing that I'm not very happy about is the amount of paint that's come off of these knuckles, as well as the diff covers. I mean, I know the diff covers are gonna get scratched up, but this just looks bad. So I am gonna go ahead and get these axles torn completely down, get this whole chassis cleaned up, get everything nice and clean so that we can go ahead and take a look at these brand new parts and get them installed, because I know you don't wanna sit here and watch me clean stuff, okay? Ready. And we're back, just like that, easy enough. It's another day. I've gone ahead and put a fresh coat of paint on the knuckles and the diff covers just to try to help things, you know, look a little bit nicer. I know it's gonna get scratched off, but you know, I just want it to look a little better. I have been having a problem with my bearings rusting inside the diff housings as well as in the knuckles particularly. So I went ahead and packed everything up with as much grease as I could just to try to help keep some of that water out. These are supposed to be sealed bearings, but a bunch of them were frozen up just from having been run through the creek and then not properly cleaned and dried. I'm not gonna completely disassemble every nut and bolt of this truck every time I get it a little bit wet, so these things are probably gonna continue to happen, but hopefully we can prevent that for a little bit longer. I've gone ahead and freed everything up. We packed a little extra grease and everything. Hopefully we should be fine. These diff gears, this is the rear set. It's incredibly difficult to tell, but the pinion gear in particular is a little bit chewed up, and that's what was causing it to skip. Also gone ahead and greased up the U-joints in the front axles. Those were starting to rust. Overall, just gone ahead and cleaned everything up, greased it all up, got it ready for the swap. So let's go ahead and get these fresh parts in and see how everything compares to what we've been running. Again, these are the Mias Racing. We've gone with the overdrive in the front and the underdrive in the rear.
just to add a little bit of extra performance to this build, which I think it's really going to benefit from. That's one thing that I haven't added to this truck that I've been wanting to for quite some time, was a underdrive overdrive setup. Similar to the factory setup, it looks like they've got a separate ring and spool setup, which is pretty cool. I suppose you could swap different ring gears out if you wanted to. But overall, pretty similar to the factory setup. Looks like actually quite a bit better quality machine work on these as well. So hopefully we won't have that issue with engagement. Yeah, let's go ahead and get these installed. We've got our greased up bearings here. I like to use this red grease, and we're just gonna pack a bunch of that up in there because I am real tired of dealing with the rust and the water damage and everything else. So we're gonna run a lot of grease. We're just gonna cover that thing. I don't really see any reason not to. This is gonna help a lot with rust and corrosion prevention. So, go ahead and drop that in there. Okay, we got most of our excess grease off there. Let's go ahead and reinstall our diff cover. God, that looks so much better freshly painted. Because it feels like there might be a little bit of play. And there definitely is, so yeah. And they do come with some shims and things, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and run one of those. Yummy. Okay, well, after a whole lot of confusion and guessing and trial and error, I think we have got the diff set up properly. I don't know, it's good enough. It'll definitely work. I'm gonna throw some Loctite on these. That was probably a little too much, but that's okay. Gonna clean these axles up once we get everything assembled because I have grease all over everything. I definitely definitely packed the diff full. There's a lot of grease in there, so hopefully nothing rusts. Feels like it's spinning well. Engagement is good. Very little play. Happy with all that. So get these next couple of bolts in. Then we can get the axles and the knuckles on. There's grease in there. Don't think that bolt is gonna stay locked in. But that's all right. Okay, axles in. Let's get these old diff gears out of the way. There's so much grease in there, it's like making pressure. That thing is packed. Packed full. All right. Perfect. All right, there is the front axle back together, freshly painted knuckles and diff cover. I am very excited to see how this performs. Very excited. So let's go ahead and get the rear axle reassembled, then we'll get everything cleaned up and we'll get it back in the truck. Okay, well, I haven't had quite enough of my coffee yet this morning. Apparently, I went ahead and threw the rear gears in the front, and I was about to throw the front gears in the rear. So, me being the infinite genius that I am, I'm gonna have to go ahead and swap these around, but that's okay, because now at least I know the spacing arrangement for everything. Hopefully, they should be identical. I don't see why they wouldn't be, at least within tolerance. And we can set everything up properly without nearly as much fuss as the last set. So, I'm gonna go ahead and slide that guy on there because that's what it's gonna take. And then I'll just go ahead and swap everything over. Let's go ahead and pack this diff up with a little bit of grease while we're at it. So we're having the exact same issue in the rear diff as the front with just, I think that's probably enough, just water getting in and not being able to get out and causing a pretty severe rust problem to the point where a lot of the bearings on this truck were frozen up, and these are supposed to be sealed bearings. I'm not real happy about that. I suppose a lot of that does come down to my maintenance routines or lack thereof, but even still, it's a sealed bearing, right? Water shouldn't be able to get in. Isn't that the point? Isn't that the point of a sealed bearing? Ring gear set. I got grease on everything. I've just kind of resigned to the fact that I'm gonna assemble all this and then clean up later, because I have grease everywhere. I don't normally use this much grease. I'm kind of going overboard on purpose, just for fun. All right, we're gonna do the same thing. I have noticed on these rear axles, they have this little channel here, and for some reason I feel like that might be designed to hold grease to keep the water out. So we're gonna pack that up with some grease and hope that that helps. It should, right? By the way, I have power tools. I just choose not to use them on RC projects because I don't think you need them. Screws are so small and generally so short. Why do you need power tools for that? Slide that boy in there. I think I'm gonna take a break and get cleaned up. Get some of this grease put away. Make things a little bit less messy so we can go ahead and reassemble. All right, we are back. All the greasy bits are put away, cleaned up. We've got clean hands. I am super pumped. These axles are looking better, I think, than they ever had. And they're gonna perform hopefully better than they ever had as well. You can see we've gone ahead and reassembled everything. Got the link riser installed back on the rear axle here. These are a controversial item, but I don't know. The physics is above my head. I'm gonna trust it as is. So it is time for the final piece of the puzzle, and that is these steel Mias drive shafts. Now, like I said before, I didn't notice when I ordered these that they were universal length. I just saw the SCX10 in the header for the listing, and I bought them. So let's check and see just one more time. I think they'll be fine. Yeah. Ooh, well, we'll see. This rear one could be an issue. I don't really know how far out it comes, but that might be a problem. The front one, fully compressed, is shorter than the factory one, so that'll be fine. No problem there. Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's just go ahead and install them. We'll get it in the truck, see how it performs. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll have to get a new one. That's how these things go. So let's start with the rear. The nice thing about these drive shafts is that they have a brass, I don't know what you would call that, center of the U-joint. So hopefully they won't corrode like the front axles are. Let's go ahead and start with the upper. Alright, so it looks like the rear, which is the one I was most worried about, will definitely work. No problems. No problems there whatsoever. So that's awesome. Let's go ahead and get the front installed now. This one's always a little bit more tricky, but I think we'll be fine. looks like the front drive shaft is gonna work just fine as well. Let's see, hopefully we solved those rubbing issues. Also, still a tiny bit of rubbing at full compression, but that's at absolutely full compression now. So we're not losing any travel anymore in either direction, which is awesome. Before we were a little restricted on front end travel just due to that drive shaft. So hopefully we've solved that issue essentially completely. Okay, chassis reassembled. I am super pumped. We have full articulation back, no restriction issues, and there is not an ounce of plastic in the whole drivetrain. So hopefully we won't break anything. This rear drive shaft seems to be just long enough. Clears all my links and everything. That works out just fine. No problems there. Let's go ahead, get our wheels and tires back on. All right, there she is, all bolted back up together. I gotta say, this is the most impressive this truck has felt definitely since I got it. I mean, it looks killer. It's got all the upgrades. It's got all the flex. It's got all the steel. I'm pumped. I'm really excited. Let's get a battery in this thing. Let's take it out to the trails and see what a difference we've made, if any, and how well this thing performs. I have a feeling with this new overdrive, underdrive setup, the steel in the drivetrain, so we're not gonna break anything, no more skipping gears, none of that stuff. It already looks great. I mean, I'm just thrilled. I'm actually thrilled. So, let's get everything put back together. We'll get out to the rocks.